So this is the Samsung Galaxy A55. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the Samsung Galaxy A54, that's the predecessor of the A55. Anyways, the Samsung Galaxy A54 was one of Samsung's most sold devices in 2023. Now, with the new Samsung Galaxy A55, does it live up to its hype? Let's find out. Now, I know you've heard this like a million times. Samsung is trying to unify their lineup. Like, if you look at the A54 and the A55, you will know that there isn't really any big jump in design. Now, there's a good and a bad side to that. Now, for the good, like if you go out in the public, someone that understands phones would definitely know you're holding a Samsung phone. But the bad side to that is that they won't even know which Samsung phone that is. Like, it might be the A35, A34, A05, A05s, A54 and A55 5G. You might not even know, and some people might even cheat you by doing that. The sides on this phone are flat, and I don't think this is really relevant, but this phone can stand on its own. It doesn't come with any headphone jack, which isn't really bad because we didn't get it on the A54, so there isn't really any room for complaints. For build, it's made out of glass, but because of its color, you won't notice any fingerprints. And because it's glass, it breaks, which you won't want to happen because it won't look good and it will get a bit expensive for you to fix. But really, this phone is a sleek, good looking phone that's sturdy and really good to hold. For external features, on the right we get a power button and a volume rocker, and if you didn't notice, we get a bump, which Samsung calls a key island. On the bottom we get a Type-C port, a speaker, and a hybrid SIM card tray. Now, I haven't really seen this on most phones, so seeing it on this one is kind of new. This phone comes with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus on the back and the front, and we also get an IP64 dust and splash resistance, which is really good. We also get an optical under display fingerprint scanner, which is really cool. For display, we get a 6.6 inch 1080p Super AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate. Now, I know all these specs are really good, but if you notice, the only thing that is an upgrade to its predecessor, the A54, is its bigger display. Literally everything else remained the same. The display is definitely large enough for watching content. The 120Hz refresh rate is definitely fast enough for using this device. And watching content on this phone would be really nice because this phone comes with HDR10. And also coupled with the Super AMOLED display, watching content on this phone would be really, really good. But overall, display is really good, but there aren't any big upgrades compared to its predecessor, the A54. Now, performance is a category which we got huge upgrades. For specs, we got the Exynos 1480 on the A55, which is a huge upgrade from the Exynos 1380 which we had on the A54. Benchmark scores on this phone was really good. There was a big difference between the A54 and the A55. Performance on this phone was also really good. You could definitely switch through your favorite apps with ease. And that's the same story with gaming. You could play PUBG on this phone at the highest of frame rates, and it's really smooth. And it can definitely go long hours without overheating, which is really good. Which means gamers would definitely enjoy gaming while using this device. This phone comes with 8 GB of RAM and can go up to 12 gigs, which is really nice. And we also have 128 gigs of storage, which can go up to 256 gig of storage, which is really good again. We do get Android 14, which is really good. We still get all those cool new AI features, but out of the box, this phone comes at Android 13, so you have to update it first. For software updates, we get 4 years, which means this phone can go from Android 14 to Android 18, which is really good. But for me, performance is the best category out of all the other categories. For cameras, we get a 50 megapixel rear camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensor, and a 2 megapixel ultra wide lens, which is the same as last year's device. Shots on this phone were really good, and if under good lighting, you get even better photos. And comparing it with the A54, you can't really see a difference, but there is a difference. The camera has that right amount of saturation, which I really like. Night mode shots on this phone were really good. For video, it shoots max at 4K at 30 frames per second, which as you can see is really good. There also isn't stabilization, which I really didn't like because most phones at this price came with one. But I would say if you're buying this phone specifically for its cameras and you're picking between the A54 and the A55, I would say definitely go with the A54 because they're basically the same thing. For battery, we get a 5000 mAh battery, which I believe has become the norm now in mid-range and budget devices. But on this phone, it's really good. It can definitely last you a full day of use, but if you're using your phone heavily, it should last you about 6 to 8 hours of battery life. But when it comes to charging, there's a problem. You don't get any charger in the box. You do get a cord, but you don't get a charging brick. And this phone supports up to 25 watts charging. So if you want that 25 watt charger, you have to go online and purchase a 25 watt charging brick to support the cord. And if the phone actually dies, it can charge from 0 to 100 in about 1 hour 20 minutes or about 90 minutes. Now, for what I actually think about the device, the A55 is a really good device. It does come with features which I really like, but it doesn't mean that you should switch from the A54 to the A55. Because aside from the bigger display and the Exynos 1480, I don't think there is any difference. But if you do care about the best display and the best processor, you should definitely go with the A55. But if you don't, you're still okay with a good processor and a good display, you should not switch, or you should buy the A54. But yeah, that's my take on the Samsung Galaxy A55. Let me know what you think of the phone in the comments. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.